Greetings, everybody. It's Jim. I love micro games. Everybody knows that. Half my channel is dedicated to the things. And not just because it's a window into the history of wargaming, there's just so much to learn. Good or bad, there's so many games out there with people that just had the passion to make a game. They were all pretty much amateurs. Not very few were very professional. Very few were perfect, but you learn so much. And that's because, many of the genres out there for these games were science fiction and fantasy, and they weren't the, let's face it, to most people, drier historical gaming aspect of it. Because while they were just rooted in really, real historical accuracy, you could actually do some more what if scenarios with fantasy and science fiction. One was if you fought on the moon. One was if you fought on an asteroid that was hollow in the middle and you wanted to jump from point to point on the asteroid. All kinds of crazy scenarios, and they were done with the basic wargaming concepts without being constrained to ancient history. It's what I loved about it. And the thing is, I loved it so much that I said, man, I gotta make my own. So I made Triads 2 years ago. I was successful on Kickstarter. I just want, and I got it out there for only $3, the exact same price that regular micro games were in the 1980s. So I was just happy about it, that it definitely made it affordable for everybody to try it out. Well, guys, I got another one for you today. Now, I didn't create this one, but of course I definitely approve it. This one's by David Pulver. Now, for those of you who follow my channel, you'll have heard that name before. He writes a lot of material for the Fantasy Trip role-playing game. Now, you might think to yourself, wait a minute, a guy that's making a role-play, making a tactical game, how's that going to work? Well, we all know that, there's a lot of cross-interest when it comes to gaming. But at the same time, the Fantasy Trip is a very tactical game. So it kind of come hithers to people that have that flair in the back of their mind for tactical prowess. And so I definitely think David hit the mark on this one. This game is a lot of fun, and I picked it up to publish it for you. So today I'm going to be going over with you, and this is live right now, Operation Meteor, the solitaire AI apocalypse war game for Kickstarter by PowerCell Games, written and created by David Pulver. Okay, everybody, first thing I want to say is it is, again, just like Triads was, only 4 pages of rules. It's actually one piece of paper. It's one ledger-sized paper that you fold up, and so it gets you 4 pages. And then when you put it away, you fold it again. It actually is the size of the old folio games from SPI, the Creature 8, Sheboygan, Demons, Death Maze, all those, right? So only 4 pages, and I keep that format. And it is written in the standard wargaming ease, which you will definitely know if you've seen it. So let's take a look at the map here. Operation Meteor, I try again to keep the old SPI colors as much as possible. Definitely did, I think, the good job here. So let's talk about the basics of the game. So the concept here should be simple enough. Whether they have a one world government or whatever, they put their eggs in one basket as a world, and the AI just took it over all at once. And the military is like, there is no military. They just, all the equipment just won't work for them, and they just can't fight back. And the only thing, the saving grace they have is the AI is a little bit kind of it's a little bit peculiar in its way it's doing things, and it's sending everybody to human processing centers. So the human population is going to dwindle, and they do want to eradicate it, but they're doing it in such a way that they're buying them some time. Okay, their only hope is the people out in space that weren't affected by AI for whatever reason. There was a connection severed, or AI, not a small program, it's not going to travel up there as easy perhaps, but for whatever reason they weren't touched or affected. And whatever government this was, or still maybe more governments, they're all working together now, and this is a little bit in the future. So there's dreadnoughts out there, space stations, lots of there's a good amount of forces that could possibly come back and save the world, but they've got to make a move now because, again, the population is starting to dwindle quite rapidly, and it's only a matter of time before the AI comes for them. And since we're talking Kickstarters, make sure if you're into role-playing, you check out the Republic of Tharda for the Harn World System Agnostic setting by Columbia Games. It is the best response we've had to a Kingdom book so far. It's for the first 2 days have been gangbusters. Harn is really taking off. So if you're into role-playing, check out that Kickstarter that's going on right now. Okay, so I should say that this is a PDF product. It's not a physical product. It's not a digital product, but it's actually going to be up to you of how you use it. You want to print it out and make a physical product, fine. If you want to upload it to Tabletop Simulator, not that you can share it with anybody, but go ahead and load it up for your convenience. Not a problem. So here we have the game all set up, and we have all the human forces for the human player, the only player, the solo player, up in high orbit. All right, and then and they're safe for the moment from the AI, which is down here on Earth. And if we flip the counters over, we can see all the hidden counters are the objectives, whether they be laser cannons, the strategic complex, robot factory, human processing center, or the decoys. All right. The only thing is they're in random places every game, with the exception of the lasers, so they're easily found. And that's because basically your decisions as the human players start right away. Okay, see, the thing is, the population is going to dwindle by 3 units every turn, so you really want to make some hits on some objectives fast, because chances are you're going to find a few decoys along the way. And you could go low and slow like good Texas barbecue and just hit one target, just only bring in a few to low orbit, right? However, the thing is, again, the population's going down a little bit quickly. You're putting the risk. You may not be at risk for your forces, but the human population is certainly at risk. Now, the thing is, though, the more you bring down at once, that's more likely going to wake up a laser. You might only wake up one, you might wake up all 3, and all kinds of problems happen. So this reminds me of the old SPI game Ragnarok, where you got the Rainbow Bridge, and if you send too many forces out turn after turn, you could probably send 4 forces out with no problem. But if you start sending 5 or more, I believe you risk the whole bridge dropping. Okay, and you really don't want to do that. Maybe near the end of the forces might want to push it, and if it falls, no problem. But you could technically lose the game right away if you try to push so many people on turn 1 or 2. So definitely the decisions you make start right away in Operation Meteor. All right, now sooner or later, once your units land, you're going to get into conflict. And one of the best things about this game is it's not just a I go, you go thing, okay? There is a lot of ebb and forth between things happening, from units firing at each other to Marines going into recon mode. Then the robot patrols start moving around, which are different than the other drones moving around, because just different things are happening for different reasons. And it's part of that process that you may not respect at first as a player, and you might be scratching your head, but it's like, oh, this is why they're doing it, and because of this, I have to consider these forces over here. I mean, there's just a nice... I don't want to use the word learning curve, because that usually means difficulty. I just mean replayability. Okay, so it's kind of like, oh, I know how to do that. I can do that more efficiently the next time I play. Now, it's because of this that I took out David Pulver's strategic notes to the game. He had something written up. I will make it available probably later on in the year. But at first, because part of the fun of this game is figuring these things out by yourself. And you can do it. You just got to play it. Okay, so as you can see on the bottom here, you can kind of see what the order of everything is. There's going to be ground to space fire, and we just went over that. Robot ground attack table, so they fire at you first once you do land, so they've already fired twice at you. Then you got your hover tanks attacking them. Then the Marines go to recon, and then there's robot patrols after that. Then submarine strikes from them, and then aerospace from you. So it almost reminds me of a little bit of like Columbia Games' Victory. Okay, it's definitely not I go, you go. It's like who has initiative when, and you have to respect that when you're thinking about which forces you're bringing where. Are you fighting a place that has drones? Are you going up against some cyber tanks? Is there a submarine nearby? Because they don't have to be close. They can be like an area away. And you get used to the AI's predictable way of moving towards you. So they may have some decoys, but you definitely have decoys of your own if you wish. So, but the like I said, I took out David Pulver's strategic notes for a reason. I don't want to give away too much, but basically that's how, that's the basics I can talk about without giving anything away. And like all good micro games, the first few turns are really kind of randoming up how this game's going to play out, so it's different every time. And sometimes you just get hit with a Yahtzee. If you hit 3 decoys in a row, you know that the population's really going down. You have no choice but to go, but that happens sometimes. But so at the same time, you might get lucky and knock things down where you can almost assure a victory if you just take your time. But do you want to get a better victory and risk it for humanity? It depends on the how you're playing it. You'll win, but will you win by just a margin, or do you want the quality of life for humankind to be better for the next 1,000 years, right? And get things like that. I mean, there's victory levels within victory levels. It's more than just there's 5 victory levels from complete victory to marginal victory. There's shades in between, which is really nice. I like how David put that in there. But overall, guys, I really think for $3, I've got to wet your whistle on this. David's done a great job. I think you're going to have hours of fun figuring this game out for yourself and figuring out how to defeat the AI. I think kids will actually like it. It's a great introductory to wargaming for them. It's $3. Get it on Kickstarter. I'll see you next video.